everybody. Welcome back to OTT Executive Podcast. I'm your host, Bryan Mahoney. I'm the CEO of Trend Research and the president of the OTT Executive Community. I'm thrilled today to be joined by Bryan Louzil. Bryan, welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's the Bryan and Bryan show today.
And we're not going to hold it against you. You spell it the wrong way with the Y.
I thought I spelled it the right way, but I guess
That's great.
I'll talk to my mom
Anyhow,
about that.
I'm thrilled to connect. We met a few years ago. I think it was like Stream TV show in Denver, and we've stayed in touch. And I've seen the journey from Mometu this whole time. And so you're the president. Congrats. Is that a relatively new promotion?
Somewhat new. I mean, I've always kind of been that role. I kind of gave myself the role of VP of Business Development at first because we were obviously developing our business. So
Yeah.
it was kind of enough to get in the room and also just enough to get out of it at certain times if I didn't want to be part of a conversation. So now just taking over as president, yeah, it's kind of like I also am the janitor. I do a lot of things, right? So whatever's needed, I put on whatever hats it's needed
Chief golf officer, maybe in the future?
absolutely. If that is needed, I always will be willing to jump out at any opportunity for a tournament or if an outing. If anyone needs a fourth, let me know.
That's awesome. Well, good. We're gonna get to that in a little bit. But before we do that, one of the things that we love to do on this podcast, Bryan, is just get to know some of the leaders in the industry, and people love to know your career background, how you got to your current role. Maybe take us through a little bit of that. Like, what did you do before Momi 2?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on this because this has been something I've been wanting to do with you for quite some time. And I
I
think, yeah,
know it's taken a
when
while to get the
you were
schedule, huh?
back when Stream TV was in Westminster, I mean, you used to have your setup there. Like you used to do some interviews for your podcast.
True.
So I was just like, man, that'd be always really cool to do. And we just, finally making it happen. So I'm
Yeah.
glad we were able to do that. Yeah, no, for as far as my background, grew up in California. Actually was born into a film family. So my dad was director, producer, parents were producers. They met on a set one day, that whole love story there. So
I did not know that about you. That's so cool. I knew you had the Hollywood background, but I didn't know your parents met on a set. That's cool.
yeah, they're I think what Malibu Hot Summer was kind of their big picture that they did together was Kevin Costner's first film. My dad did a lot of
Wow.
independent films, so hence my love for the indie world. But he did a lot of movies for Troma, actually. So with Lloyd Kaufman, did some of the class of Nukem High films. If anyone's familiar with the Toxic Avenger, grew up on, my dad still owes me a bus to this day. My childhood toy bus he blew up as part of a diorama that they had to build because they used too much explosives on a bus in person. So they had to
No
recreate the
way.
scene. No joke. I guess their guy that they, their stunt guy was also their pyro guy, and he's like, "Oh man, I must have put too much gunpowder on that one or something." So yeah, still owe me a bus if he's listening. I will never forget that day. But yeah, no, grew up on film sets, so a lot of my childhood was, summer camps were not a thing, winter camps were not a thing. I spent time on film sets. That was my daycare in a sense, growing up. And but my outlet was always soccer. So I grew up playing soccer, played collegiately, and played semi-pro, almost went pro. Ended up
Nice. Where'd you go to college?
I went to a little private school called Point Loma Nazarene down in San
Okay.
Diego.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's a long story about that, why how I ended up there, but ended up having an opportunity to play at a higher level, which was great. Became an
Yeah.
All American, all that fun stuff, and then I ended up having an injury, so I fractured my wrist, had to have a screw put in. Actually, my
Mm.
my child's I have a 4 year old boy, and his daycare today or his preschool, Montessori school, whatever, their share day is X today. So I actually pulled out my old X-ray from my wrist injury for him to take to school today to share with everyone. So
Oh, that's the letter of the day, X.
X is the letter, so they have to bring something with the letter X. So I walked in, I saw a lot of xylophones and letter X's, and I'm like, there's no way someone has a real X-ray. So, kind of
That
cool
is
for them
so
to
cool.
see
Wait a
it.
minute. What position did you play in soccer?
I was a goalkeeper, so
Okay, you need
you
your wrist for
needed your
that.
hands. Yeah, you needed your
Yeah.
hands. So, pretty important at that point. So, ended up, having to hang up the boots, hang up the gloves, and ended up going right into the working world. So, as anyone that's ever seen Step Brothers, you know that the one of the best opportunities in life is to go work for Enterprise Rent a Car because they give you the tools to be your own boss, uh, as Will Ferrell so famously says. And yeah, no, I worked for an enterprise for just about 10 years, all the
Mm,
way through their management program and all the way through kind of climbing the ranks there. Great, great learning experience. Learned a lot about the corporate world, working with, companies like Disney and
hmm
Anaheim Angels and the Anaheim Ducks here in Orange County, and doing a lot of things with entertainment world as far as like different clients and famous people and all that stuff. So it was really a lot of fun there, but also the working with like body shops and dealerships and different entities, and then also just managing people and watching employees grow and helping them become the best versions of themselves. So a lot of
hmm
fun for 10 years. Then I went over and did some corporate sales. Got into a different industry. Did corporate sales for a little bit for kind of a rental company, but it was a construction rental company.
hmm
And people are listening like, how did this guy get into streaming? Well, I kind of got tapped on the shoulder. And it was kind of one of those things where I was at a crossroads. My son was about to be born. I didn't really know what my next step was going to be. And I wanted to work in a field where I could really help people, and not necessarily a nonprofit, but
hmm
somewhere where I could help people grow and flourish. And got this opportunity kind of tapped on my shoulder. I originally kind of said no to, because it was a foreign industry in a sense, but
hmm
I was like, I looked at it and said, I could help independent filmmakers get their content
hmm
be seen. I could, find ways to give back, which ended up becoming an entity that we'll talk about later.
hmm
And so I came out, I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. Let's let's jump in, both feet in, and say, let's have some fun and help start Mometu. So I knew a lot about the content side. I knew a lot about the distribution side for my family, and said, you know what? Let's go ahead and put both feet in and see what happens.
That is so cool. It's funny because when we met, I remember a lot of our conversations were aspirational. You had a lot of questions about streaming. But yeah, I mean, I guess in your background, you always had that, and it's funny that you kind of returned to your roots in a weird sort of way, right?
In a sense, I did. It was an industry that I did not want to actually be a part of, which sounds so weird, but I'm having the time of my life. I love what I do and I love all the people that we work with. But it was, yeah, it was one of those things where, my understanding of the film world, at least from as being a father, was
hmm
that my dad was always gone. He was always on
Yeah.
film sets. He was always away, and he was always working long hours and late nights and early mornings, or,
Mm-hmm.
if he was there, he'd be sleeping, right, and getting ready for the next shoot and all that stuff. So for me, it was like, I don't want to be a part of that because I want to be a part of my kid's life, and I want to be, and I don't want to have to, have a split family or whatever and all that stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like, hey, that's really important to me. Family's very important to me. And I'm very, very fortunate to say that my father and I have a great relationship today now. And like,
hmm
we've been able to take trips together and reconnect and all that stuff. And he no longer is a filmmaker, so it makes it
hmm
quite easier. But yeah, I'm so happy that things worked out the way that they did for
hmm
me to be able to come and obviously run Momitu and also start up the other entities that I've talked about before as well.
Yeah. Still searching for that toy bus too, right?
I'll get that one day, maybe for like my 50th birthday. I don't know. I'll ask
Maybe
for
be
one.
like gold plated, some milestone. That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
mean,
So, is your son playing soccer? Maybe too young, too early.
no, he is.
Already.
I started him out at 3, so he already had his first season this last fall, and he scored a bunch of goals. Like he's playing against 4, and some of them are already 5-year-olds.
hmm
So at that time, I mean, obviously anyone that has kids,
Right.
3, 4, and 5, that's a big difference as far as
Oh
size
yeah.
and speed and all that stuff. So I mean, for him to
Yeah.
run around and kind of take some hits from the bigger kids and all that stuff, I love it. Like he was having the time of his life, and he actually is starting his next season actually next Saturday. Gonna do spring ball. He said no to t-ball. He's like, I don't want to do that. I want to play soccer again. He loves it, and I'm gonna step up and be his
Starting.
coach. So that's kind of fun.
That is, I coached. I never coached soccer. I coached flag football and basketball for a while. But my son just signed up to play college soccer. Actually, they're to join my older son. They're both strikers, and it was funny because I was looking at a video of him, probably not quite 5. I mean, I guess he was probably more like 7 or 8. And at that age, everything your kid does is amazing, right? And you get the camera out or whatever. And I think he scored like 15 goals in that game.
Oh
It was like,
wow.
it was just they're just like little kids, you're just like flying around, and he's always been really fast and shifty. But I'm like, yeah, like you'd be lucky to score 15 in a season. It's like Don't get too excited there. So yeah, the end of a journey, but you're just beginning it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Good. Well, listen, let take us now, you're president of Mometu. What is your job description right now? What kind of things do you do? And, take us through a little bit of your current role.
Yeah, I mean, so as the president of Mometu, or when before I was, labeled as the VP of Business Development, I'm kind of doing a lot of the same things. Like it's not like my roles have really changed, and we're a smaller company, and we know that hey, we're gonna have to wear different hats at different times. So, am I the face of the company? Sure. I represent our company at different events and conventions, and obviously things that I see you at different markets. But no, I'm here talking to our distribution partners, talking to our content providers, and being kind of the the glue between Mometu as a platform and them as a content provider, and
Hmm.
always looking out for new content and seeing what's kind of next for us, and always talking to like independent filmmakers and trying
Hmm.
to see about bringing on their content as like an exclusive release, especially for like some lower budget films or some films that like I would say fit kind of the under 100, for sure under $200,000 range as far as budgets go,
Yeah.
where getting onto a larger platform can be great,
Hmm.
but sometimes
You may
they
not
just
get
get
the attention you need,
buried.
right?
Yeah, you get
Yeah, you're
buried, right?
buried.
So
Yeah.
we try to walk them down, and I personally try to walk them down a path of not signing with us directly, but actually finding them a distribution partner that makes sense for their content and for their
Mm.
vision.
Mm.
Learning about what what it took to make their film. Are they in debt? Did they have do they have, they just have a rich uncle or something that they don't have to pay back, or do they
Mm.
actually have credit card debt and they got to figure that out? And so
Mm.
I'll talk to them and find out what's the best opportunity. So most of the films that we've released as exclusive, I've actually gotten them to sign with different distribution partners that we work with based on the genre, based on their goals of,
Hmm.
is it North America only? Is it international? Are they looking for exclusive? Are they looking for additional IP? Are they looking, what are they looking for, right?
Hmm.
And so I'll walk them on that, but we'll bring it on as an exclusive and then, do some things special on
Cool.
our side to kind of make it shine for a little bit before it maybe goes on to other platforms that are, competitors of ours, but there's enough eyeballs to go around. So we're not too worried about that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll wear that hat a little bit. And then I also started a film festival. So I wear that hat as a founder and director of that festival. I started my own podcast. And so I'm a host of a
You're,
podcast,
you're you're
which,
busy. You're the face of the company. You're out there. Before we get into all that stuff,
yeah,
just
yeah,
tell
yeah.
us, Momi2, like what's the focus? What is your mission? Describe the company.
Yeah, I mean, very surface level. So Momi2 means more for me and you. And that's how we kind of came to the name. So
Hmm.
Momi2 is really more opportunities for filmmakers. The me is literally us sitting in the chair with our users, hand curating all our content. We actually don't use algorithms at all to present content, as far past as outside of our recommendation engine. That's about it. After you watch a
Right.
film, it maybe will recommend something to you. But as far as what you see on the platform, that's all done by hand and done by our team.
Hmm.
And then the U is to Latin, diverse. It's including all cultures. So we wanted to make sure we're here for everyone, and we'll always be free. We're not going to do a subscription tier. We want to make sure that it's accessible to everyone. So as far as our focus with content and what kind of differentiates ourselves is that we are trying to be the hub of underserved content.
Hmm.
And so the three pillars that have worked really well for us is independent films, especially domestically, international films, so lesser titles that are typically not coming over to the States or to North America, or they're just not seen very prevalent. Like we have a very solid collection of Korean films, and some of those films you can find on like Crunchyroll, right? But you have to subscribe to Crunchyroll, right? You have to pay for another level to get those films. We can provide those for free. And then
Hmm.
we have a pretty massive collection of classic films, which I feel is an underserved kind of demographic of films or collection of content that is
Yeah.
not typically showcased anymore. It's very important to the history of film, and we just
Hmm.
don't see it enough. So that's been
Yeah.
a very big piece for us, and especially with our Facebook demographic, it's been massive.
Hmm. That's cool. So, I mean, I think the classic content, it's like the comfort food of content, right? It's a
Yeah.
great baseline and keeps people engaged and coming back. And I'm a big fan of international film too. I just find like you get different voices and it's so much less formulaic. I mean, so many of the movies and shows that we get now, it's like, oh, I've seen this before, I've seen this plot line or whatever. We
Mhm.
get like something from France or I love Chinese war movies, the epic scale and everything.
Oh
And I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, so I kind of get that. What is your strategy around like subtitling and, how do you deliver the international content for US audiences?
Everything we do is original language. So yeah,
Okay.
we try to stay away from dubbed content.
Okay.
We feel like at least for the purists, especially like the cinephiles, they don't want to see a dubbed version.
Hmm.
And because of right now, like currently, we're only available in North America, and a majority of our user base is USA, Canada.
Hmm.
Predominantly USA, like about 80%, about 15% Canada. We have about 5% in Mexico. So majority English speaking.
Hmm.
We just keep it with subtitles. And there's only a certain audience that's interested in international content. Some people just don't like dubbing or subbing at all, so it doesn't really
Hmm.
matter, right? We want to look at the purists and the cinephiles and see what really makes sense to them. So,
Hmm.
yeah, subtitles has been our way to go, and we haven't had any pushback on it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. Some of it's the demographics too. My kids prefer to watch English content with the subtitles on. And I'm like, do you have a hearing issue, whatever? But like I don't know why. Like they
Interesting.
want to turn on. For me, that's kind of actually it's kind of growing on me a little bit because maybe my hearing's not what it used to be. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. There's you can't treat the audience all the same.
For sure. And I mean I oh, it's a really interesting one. I watch subtitles with like English, like British English.
Hmm.
Especially like when I watched what was that show that I watched with my wife? Um Peaky Blinders.
Yeah,
Peaky Blinders, you need subtitles. I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah.
thick Cockney accents, you just can't
Hmm.
understand what they're saying sometimes. So that's
Hmm.
definitely doable. But no, that's an interesting point about English speakers utilizing English subtitles. Yeah, sometimes there's the characters. Maybe it just makes sense. I don't know. That's an
Sometimes
interesting
it's
point.
sound quality. Sometimes they
Yeah.
kind of like a whisper, or there might be some background noise. So they kind of standardize on that. And because they're always asking me to turn it on, I don't even notice it anymore. I don't even know if my brain is looking at the text or I don't know. It's just a comfort level there. But so really cool. So those are kind of the three areas where you're experiencing the most engagement. Maybe just talk about company milestones, growth. I mean, are you growing? Like, what's your how are things going so far?
Yeah, no, the growth is there. I one of the biggest things that we did over the past summer was we integrated within Just Watch, and so that was a nice integration to get our platform on there. Like a lot of companies do that, and you think it's just
Hmm.
kind of a simple thing, but for us, it was a massive growth piece. So we started seeing, even if it was, I think the first month we hit like an additional 20,000 users. That's a
Hmm.
big number for us. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, over this last year, we've just over doubled our user base, and
nice.
that's going well. And sometimes I don't just look at the user base. Like I think sometimes we get so stuck on MAU
Hmm.
that it's a really important metric. But one thing I will say is that our watch time has drastically gone up.
Yeah.
So that tells me that the content we're bringing to people is quality. We're not over serving ads. I think
Hmm.
that's something that some companies, have a bad reputation for,
Yeah.
or as serving like ads every 7 minutes.
Hmm.
We typically average around every 10th minute,
Okay.
and sometimes over serving, the same creative, or sometimes over serving, putting out like 6 or 7 ads in an ad break at a time.
Hmm.
It's a tough balance because we want to be profitable and we want to see that revenue trickle in, but you got to be conscious of the user because if you piss them off, they're gone, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I think the one
And they
the one
expect a
metric
certain
that
level
I'm
of ads. I mean, and even a lot of the SVODs are charging, they have an ad tier and
yeah.
people kind of get but you're right, it can get super, super annoying if you're oversaturating. So good for you.
Yeah, no, but the metric I typically mostly look at outside of MAU is going to be our watch time, our
Hmm.
average watch time, like average session per user. And we've been seeing that double, sometimes triple on different days, which just tells me, hey, we're providing good content.
Hmm.
We're presenting that content well because obviously people are returning sometimes 2, 3 sessions a day, which is
Hmm.
great for us to see that. And then, but yeah, the biggest concern, especially as an AVOD platform, is just the oversaturation with
Yep.
ads and how you're serving them, and if you're seeing that same ad or that same creative multiple times, and how often, all that stuff. So yeah, just it's been a that's been a great growth metric
Mhm.
for us this last year for sure.
Just a side note on that, do you do your ad insertion or do you have your content partners, you give them guidance and they do the ad breaks at the, the sort of natural times of their content?
So it's kind of a mix, right? Sometimes we do get content already with markers in them.
Hmm.
For the most part, we don't, though. It's based on
Hmm.
what we want to do, and I think that's a lot of the companies don't put markers in unless it's linear, just because every
Hmm.
platform is different in how they're going to provide that. So,
Yeah.
um, there's certain stipulations with that with advertising partners that you got to provide a certain number of ad breaks at or minutes of ad breaks in an hour's worth of content, all that stuff too.
I
So
think it matters more for like premieres, linear programming or whatever. We've
yeah,
got like
yeah, yeah.
set
So
30 minutes you got to fill or 60 and you have a standard for ad breaks.
we actually did a lot of that stuff by hand. So
Mhm.
brought on a group of interns last spring, and we went through just over 6,000 titles in the
Wow.
spring, adding markers by hand actually. There's a way to do it, different AI technologies and such, but
Hmm.
it's not always perfect. It's not
The human
doesn't it
curation, I think, is so important too,
there's
because
always
it
there's
depends on the content, It's like,
Yeah, there was always something that goes wrong with AI. Like you
yeah.
always have to spot check it regardless. So we just went in and did it by hand, and so we have it set for every 10th minute, by default, and then
Hmm.
we go in and we actually set markers within ad breaks or within the scene breaks, so to make sure
Yeah.
that our user gets the best experience as possible. So
Yeah.
we'll be doing another round of that this spring, and we have four new interns that came on for the spring to help out with a couple different entities with that we'll talk about it later, but one of the things that they'll be doing this spring is definitely learning about that and how important it is to the user's experience, and even
Yeah.
how to even think that way as you're making a film, because they're all filmmaker, like they're all film students, right? They all
Hmm.
want to be filmmakers in one way or another, and sometimes they have to think about like, hey, you need to almost script your film,
Yeah.
knowing like if it's going to go to streaming
Right.
and there's going to be ad breaks, script it in a way that where you're going to
Right.
have at least an ad break every.
Like you've had a really, really long scene, that would be no natural break, then you might want to rethink that, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So especially when you go from like if you have a really short kind of beginning scene, let's just say it's for 5 minutes, and then and you don't want to serve an ad within 5 minutes of starting because you already just got a pre-roll.
Yeah.
If you have then a massive scene that's like 15 minutes long, like you may not see your first ad break for your
Hmm.
20 minutes, which really takes away from your your monetization,
Yeah.
unless you're going to just have a company throw an ad break in the middle of a scene, which kind of takes away from the creative. So
Yeah.
it's a nice thing that it's a very it's not
Mhm.
that you want to think about that as making a film, but like it's something to think about. It's something to be aware of as it moves on to the monetization state, especially within
Yeah.
the long form of the AVOD world.
Yeah. Yeah. So you talked about you introduced the film festival.
Yeah,
Update on that. How's that going?
it's going phenomenal. We had last year was our third year, so we had our third
Wow.
season. So I did a quick one in December of 2023 because that's when we launched Mometu in October of 23.
I remember.
I did a very quick one. We had like 19 films from 12 schools or something like that. They were mostly local schools, and we just kind of did whatever we could do to get it out there. We did that all within 2 months. I mean, it was a very, very quickly done, piece it together festival, just kind of get it up and running. So we could say that we did one in 23, right?
Mhm.
And then we had our, another one 24. We've been doing them in the summertime to kind of align with the
Mhm.
school schedules. So
Yeah.
last year was our third season. We had 83 films from 38 different
Wow,
colleges and
that's
universities.
amazing.
Yeah, the
All students, right?
representation,
That's a criteria. They have to be.
they
Okay.
have to they have to be student made films,
Hmm.
and we allow up to 2 years post grad.
Okay.
So as long as it was made when they were like in school, but then let's just say like for sort of from like bigger schools like USC or Chapman or Ringling or SCAD, these schools or NYU, they typically have bigger budgets and bigger aspirations for their films. So
Mhm.
they'll go through. a first year of a festival run, right? Needing premiere status and all that stuff to
Yeah.
get into like Cannes or Oscar qualifying festivals. So we allow those student made films to be up to 2 years post grad so we can give them their
Yep.
time.
Give them a chance to
Um,
get through that. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But
Hmm.
having 38 different colleges and universities represented was just a massive milestone for us. We're already getting submissions, so that's already open. Call to entry is already up and running, and we're I think we're already upwards of like 20 submissions so far, and a majority of our entries that we get are between April and May.
Hmm.
Our window for submission window closes in end of May as we prepare for the streaming portion of the virtual portion of the festival in June. And we'll get a majority of those films then because those are when the senior projects are getting finished. They're doing their senior showcases in April or May, depending on their school schedule. So yeah, really excited for what it's going to be. I mean, last year we had we had TCL on as our best picture sponsor. The year prior to that was Vizio, and Vizio had to jump out because obviously the Walmart acquisition. So that was a
Hmm.
whole thing. And TCL was so gracious to come on last year and be the best picture sponsor. We had Otera on as a sponsor who runs our tech. We had Insurgents
Nice.
who did this amazing award, and this is probably the thing that I'm most proud of when it comes to this festival is that we gave an opportunity as a what's called the producer's pick. We partnered with Insurgents Films to finance a film. Low budget, it was $25,000, so low budget. But this student filmmaker who's 23 years old, he just graduated last spring, got the opportunity to have his short developed into a feature film.
Wow.
And they wrapped in January. So they're in post right now. We're going to premiere that trailer at this year's festival, and then we'll see how the film comes out. We're going to try to get it in maybe some genre festivals, maybe Fantastic Fest, and then have obviously release on Mometu eventually, potentially as an original. Depends on the end product, but
Right.
really cool to see this 23-year-old that gets to make his first feature film, no debt, all guidance, distribution built in, and he owns 50% of Insurgents cut, right? Like
Hmm.
so we get our cut, Insurgents gets their cut, and then after they've paid back their financing on it, this filmmaker is going to own a percentage of the film for the life of the film.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, so we're starting
Is
to do
that
that
the is
once a
that the
year.
prize for the top winner? Is that or is that like what are the prizes? Like are they guaranteed distribution, a Mometu, or how's that work?
So there's this year there's 8 categories. Last year there was seven, but each category winner walks home with a $500 cash prize,
Hmm.
and then an invitation to come to Hollywood. We screen their films. So taking a step back, they play for 30 days on Mometu.
Okay, they do. All right.
75% of the grading's based on judging.
Hmm.
25% of it's based on watch data and watch time. So
That's
we
so
we
cool.
help them learn about how important marketing their film is and how to do it without a budget. And we do 4 educational panels to teach them about marketing and filmmaking and festival strategies and distribution pitfalls as well. And then so that's the whole teaching side of thing, which I'm really proud about as well. But then when they get invited to Hollywood, there's really I would say 3 major awards. Audience award is obviously voted on by the audience in live there, which is additional cash prize. Um, Best Picture is given last year was given a brand new TCL television,
Mm.
a 4K Pocket Pro camera from Blackmagic, and then the opportunity to keep their film on Momi2 as well.
Hmm.
The producer's pick, though, that was the third kind of award, which is predetermined ahead of time. But what we do is we shortlist some of the short films and then actually interview these filmmakers and see where they are in the development as a filmmaker, as a writer, and if they'd even be interested in making a film, like even making a feature. So last year we
Hmm.
shortlisted 5 people. 2 of them actually backed out, said, I'm not ready to make a feature yet, which
Hmm.
is totally respectable. Like knowing where
Right.
you are as a filmmaker is super important. The other 3, we actually sat down with full interview process, went through like how would you develop it out? Like how would it get, do we need to bring in a writer to help you? Can you do it yourself? We know what you're capable as a filmmaker because we saw what you were able to do with your short and kind of use it as a
Hmm.
proof of concept. So a lot of great things. So we eventually landed on Gabriel Lopez, who made a film called Best Kept Shut, and that's we're keeping that same title. He actually went back and shot the full feature version of it because he already had it ready, and we shot it back at the same location that he filmed the short at. And
That's
yeah,
awesome.
we're really looking forward to it. From what I've heard so far, and some of the few stills that I've seen of what he's been able to do, it's going to come out really nicely.
So let's talk about short form a little bit because there's a lot of focus on the creator economy.
Mhm.
What does that mean to you? Like, what is a creator economy? And how do you see, sort of that approach to content, approach to engagement, monetization model, whatever angle you want to take, in its impact on traditional kind of media and entertainment?
Yeah, there's a big balance to unpack there, but I mean, obviously, for it being an AVOD platform, I want people to watch features. I want people to stay and watch as long as possible without having to restart their film. So I'm not paying for, CDN costs and all that stuff. And I'd rather have someone stay and get, served 9, 10 different ad pods throughout a film.
Hmm.
However, our current younger demographic has been massively involved in short form content, specifically. A lot of verticals have been coming out lately, which we're not ruling out. That's actually a potential that we might move into as far as people utilizing Mometu on their phones.
Mm.
But so that is still to come. We're still working with Otera on that, and potential that capability is coming. But yeah, so it's a balance. And with the film festival, and then with this new entity that we're rolling out called the Showdown, it's for short filmmakers. And so yeah, less the the content is shorter, between 10 to 15 minutes on average per short film roughly. And it's something we're doing to support the indie filmmaker. We're not doing it in the sense for us to be making a boatload of money. It's
Mm.
not something we look at. And actually, with this showdown, we're giving back 100% of the revenue we're making on it back to the
Okay.
filmmakers as the prize money for them. So
Yep.
uh, it's a balance. I mean, it's a tough ball because for us, like again, like I mentioned, features or even linear, someone staying on a linear channel for a longer period of time, that's what really benefits us
Right. And you were talking
financially.
earlier, the key metric is hours watched, and then you want them to stay on and watch additional titles.
Yeah, because you
Um,
could have MAU and people stay for
yeah,
5 minutes and bounce. That's not going to help you,
right,
right? Like that same user staying for hours on end, or
right.
coming back and using your same app every day or every other day or whatever, and staying for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. That's what really makes that revenue drive.
Yeah,
So the short form content, it's a balance because you want to give the consumer enough of what they want, but you have to make it make sense for the business too.
yeah.
So we're definitely trying to find that balance. It's definitely difficult. We're utilizing a lot of the quote unquote creator economy in the sense of like social media to
Hmm.
help bring awareness to what we're doing on Momitu.
Yep.
So, people are scrolling on their phones and they're doing that stuff as far as like the verticals, but like I feel like people are going to get sick of that. It's a trend. I don't think
Yeah.
that's something that's going to last forever. The content is, I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's hot garbage. When
Well,
you're,
I mean,
it's just
this
not
debate's
like,
been, yeah, I mean, but the production value's gotten better. I mean, people debate still, is YouTube
yeah,
real TV or not? I look at the creator economy too, and I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, is, you're bringing your fandom, you're bringing your audience with you. I mean, it used
yeah,
to be that we would rely on these platforms to generate audience, right, to generate buzz, and that it
mhm,
still can, right? But a lot of it is, hey, you've got 10 million followers on TikTok, you got a show, right? And let's go commercialize that opportunity and create maybe short form, maybe long form content, whatever it might be.
yeah.
So, I mean, I just think, the industry is learning. It's got to be much more agile and less
Mhm.
rigid with this kind of linear thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely for the YouTube demographic that, and is YouTube TV 100%.
Yeah,
Like, are
agreed.
people watching it? It's TV. Are people watching a podcast? Well, it's kind of TV then, right? Like if
Hmm.
there's a lot of purists that are saying like, oh no, podcasts are audio only, and if we're doing this is not a podcast, this is a show, right? So at the end of the day, it's what are people consuming? Doesn't matter if they're listening, they're watching, they're reading. If there's ads, if there's a way to monetize off of it, then there's a business there. There's something
Right.
happening, right? As far as that content. So, yeah, I mean, definitely, I would say the YouTube stuff, as far as the shows and like the people that have built up a following and a subscriber base, It's very important. And how do we leverage that? How can we potentially bring on a show that is on YouTube and bring it on to Mometu? Like that's
Yep.
something we definitely, we talked about.
Because you're always looking at audience. You always want to, add eyeballs, right? And if they're going to bring audience with them and there's a fan base there, then why not, right?
Do we bring enough of those shows over and make a linear channel out of it? Like maybe that's a thing, right?
Hmm.
But we're as of now we're working with a lot of like just kind of social media creators that have their own fan bases to uh, do content for us, but
Hmm.
also utilizing some of that on our platform. So, for instance, one person that we work with, his name's Harry Marks, and he's called at Lobby Intros, and he does a lot of like classic movie introductions. And so that's his thing. He does like 2 to 3 minute Robert Osborne esque TCM introductions, and we have his content not only living on social media, but we bring it and do a horizontal version of that, a landscape version of that on the Mometu app. So when you go to watch, say, Sabrina, someone
Hmm.
has the option to watch the trailer. They also have the option to watch the introduction,
Huh, that's
and
cool.
which is his introduction of telling you all the history and all the fun facts about the film, whether you've seen it or not. And so that's something we're utilizing some creators to do and
So
kind
it's
of do
not
some highlights
automatic,
and
it's an
stuff.
option, right? You can, if you just want to get right into the film,
Yeah.
great. But yeah.
Yeah, but there is a potential we're looking into, maybe like doing a Momi 2 Classics linear channel that will live
Hmm.
on our platform, but also potentially on other places, say like Vizio and Samsung
Yeah.
and TCL or whoever, and having his content be kind of stitched in the mix. So you have to watch his introduction prior to the film starting. But that was
Yeah.
kind of like what people grew up with TCM back in the day with Robert
Right.
Osborne.
Yeah. 100%. Hey, I want to before we run out of time, I want to shift gears a little bit about something
Yeah.
very topical, and it's the Warner Brothers Discovery, Netflix, Paramount drama or whatever. I mean, obviously hitting this week. What do you think is happening there? I don't know. Any kind of take on the big news this week?
Again, a lot to unpack, but and it's still fresh. It's a fresh wound. But no, there's pros and cons, right? There's a lot of things going on there. Good for Paramount. I mean,
Mhm.
get a solid, you know,
I mean, they're
uh,
kindred spirits, right? So everybody talks about scale, two studios, one, so there'll be efficiencies there. I mean,
yeah,
people
but it's
tried
but
to
it's
simplify it as like the digital world taking over Netflix, and I get that, right? And now it's like kind of too similar, whatever. It's going to be about scale, okay? But I think everybody's taking the cue of what it means to be a digital platform in the modern age too. So I don't know.
yeah. I mean, is it positive for the consumer potentially? Um, but it's only going to be how Paramount wants to provide that content. I don't think we're going to
Hmm.
lose anything. I think it helps theatrically. Like I don't think that there's going to be a loss of theatrical from that because
That
with
was one of the
with
concerns with
Netflix that
Netflix,
was
right?
concerned, but even
Shrinking,
Netflix but even Netflix
theatrical
came out and
window.
said, "Hey, we're not going to get rid of the 45-day window or whatever," and
Yeah.
there's still money in theatrical, so why would we get rid of it? All that stuff. I think Netflix just bid their bid knowingly that they're going to get a payout if Paramount went over and above.
Hmm.
Now, the negative thing is that within Paramount or within Warner Brothers, there's gonna be a lot of cuts, because
Hmm.
they're gonna have to pay back their shareholders and all that stuff. So that's
Yeah.
unfortunate for the filmmaking world. I think as far as when it comes to studio filmmaking world, consumers are going to benefit as far as content, because that's just going to be potentially become more accessible under one apron and not have to fight about multiple subscriptions or this and that. There'll be more bundling going on, of course. But as far as like a small streamer like Mometu, I mean, for independent content, it kind of becomes a plus
Hmm.
because for us, like, we've already kind of seen that shift in 2026 already. And there's a lot of independent creators coming out and saying, hey, this is our time. Like, this is our
Hmm.
time to share the story. And whether or not we've already seen it with like social media, like or not social media, but even YouTube or just creators, you don't have to have a massive budget to make a quality piece of content.
Hmm.
People are going to watch if it's a good story, it's good writing, and you put together a quality product and you're able to market it properly. That's what's going to make it successful. I mean, we just saw that with that guy who made his first, would have spent like $1 million on it to make his a feature film with his whole YouTube subscriber base or Patreon backing, and was able to make what it was like 30 or maybe even $60 million on his in the box office. I mean, it
Who said it
overtook
was
some of
this?
the what's that?
Which title was this?
I can't remember the title off the top of my
Okay.
head, and I'm sure someone
Yeah, there was a
someone's
horror
tuning will
flick
tell me.
last year that had like a $500,000 budget, and I think it did like 50 million in box office. So
Well, there was Terrifier. Terrifier did
yeah,
not.
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Terrifier
Terrifier
3,
3.
but that was Cineverse, and
Yeah.
they did a phenomenal job with that. But yeah, but it just goes to show that like if there's a quality story, if it's shot well, I mean, one of the best performing titles that we have on Mometu was made for $7,800. So if you have a good story, you can shoot it well. You obviously can do really well in the post and the edit, and piece it together well to where the story goes, and then you can market it to the right audience. I mean,
Mhm.
any piece of content can do well now.
Yeah. I mean, there's $100 million movies that just fall flat and and lose
Oh,
half
look at
half their
Snow
budget
White.
too. So
Snow White was made for like 300 million or whatever it was, and it flopped. So,
yeah,
they make up for that in the aggregate, but that's the studios.
right.
So, I mean, but as far as independent content and independent creators, I'm excited. Like, I think this is something where this 2026 is going to be a very important year for independent creators establishing themselves, and Momitsu is going to be right here to support as many of them as possible.
So we don't have a lot of time to talk about this, but I do want to talk about AI because you talked about, production costs going down and I've talked to a lot of folks in the industry and it's gone beyond we've been using AI for a while for intelligence, data analytics, content
Yeah.
discovery, recommendation engine and stuff. But in actual production, I've seen like some really good integrations, right? Saving money on background sets, extras and costuming, everything, obviously CGI and VFX kind of stuff, to the point where we might be taking half the cost out of making some of these movies. And that's got to benefit the independent film industry, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as independent filmmaking goes, there's pre-production, post-production, AI software that can be used to help these filmmakers out. I think my biggest concern is when it takes away from the creator.
Right.
And we don't need AI directors, we don't need AI actors, we don't
AI
need,
slop.
yeah, we don't need that stuff. We don't need AI, I mean, it's tough to say not even AI music, but like sometimes it's hard because I'm a big fan of of music and the music industry, and I have a lot of friends that are artists,
Hmm.
but an independent creator who doesn't have a massive budget to make their first feature film can now go on apps like Suno or whatever and like make their own music. And now Suno's starting to kind of take over like owning the rights of things now, which is kind of like that's a whole wild world. But there's
Hmm.
so many other apps that are out there like that where you can utilize AI to help you make a custom piece of music that could potentially help score your film,
Right.
where you don't have to pay massive amounts of money that
Music rights are
people,
really
yeah,
expensive
that people
too.
don't
So
have. Like they
yeah.
just don't have it as an independent creator, or like even
Hmm.
as a short film that you want to make just to do as a proof of concept to make a feature or whatever, like
That's where I think there's going to be a lot of help, right? In the short film, like,
massive.
yeah, to get things greenlit, being able to get the concept out there. But I've seen some tools where you don't lose creative control. I mean, that's the big concern is like tell you, put in the prompts, whatever, you go away, and then you get this whatever coming out or whatever. But the
Yeah.
idea of, kind of iterating and keeping that creative direction all along. And so I think you're right. It's like, can you master it as a tool? Not outsourcing the creative storytelling process.
Yeah, I mean, we had Film U Stage as a company that came on as a sponsor for the festival, for the College Film Festival. They have a pre-production AI software that helps a lot with budgeting. And I mean, like a newer filmmaker that's especially not taking any business classes, like they don't know
No
a lot
idea.
about budgeting, right? So they have to
Right,
bring on a
right.
producer that knows about it, and that person costs money. So like it's kind of a nice thing to where like we were able to give away a package to each of the winning filmmakers in the festival for this
Nice.
pre-production software to just check out. And it's like, does that make sense for a massive budget film? No. Like you need a person to oversee it. Even if you're using a software, you still
Yep.
need a person that knows what they're doing because there's always going to be errors. But for something that's like a low budget, a short film or a low budget feature, first time filmmaker, that's stuff that can only benefit, those types of creators.
Yep. Well, listen, we're just about out of time. And one of the things we like to do on this podcast is just to learn a little bit about some of the leaders in the industry. And is there any kind of hobby or personal interest you can share with our audience?
Yeah, I mean, outside of coaching my son and just spending time with him and my wife and just doing, family stuff, because that's the most important thing to me is family.
Yeah.
When I get my own time, there's two things I love to do. One is go to the gym, love to work out, love to, throw some weights around. And then secondly, as long as I'm not too sore from the gym, I love getting out on the golf course. We already talked about that, but and you know that
Yeah.
about me, but yeah, I am a probably the most average professional amateur golfer out there. So
Wait,
definitely,
that's about average professional golfer.
yeah,
Do
no,
you ever try
I
X Golf or any of the virtual platforms?
yeah, I've done that stuff before. It's fun. There's nothing like getting out though and touching some
Oh, yeah,
grass. I'm a
agree.
big fan of just hey, get out, get away, unplug. Like I try to keep my phone away as well. Like I just say, hey, I got 4 hours to just completely disengage from
Hmm.
from life and from work and from anything. Like keep it on there, obviously, just in case there's an emergency. But I don't check emails. I don't do that kind of stuff because it's hey, I got 4 hours to myself. And I think this is one of the biggest things as far as like, and I'll leave with this, but motivation wise, for anyone out there, you need time to yourself to be motivated and to be your best self in any other area. So whether that's taking a vacation once a year and completely unplugging and making sure your company knows that like, hey, no one bothers me during this week off or whatever, because when you come back, yes, there's going to be more work to do and there's going to be pieces to pick up. But I guarantee you're going to be a better version of yourself because
Hmm.
you were able to recharge your batteries. And you're going to be a better version of yourself for your coworkers and for your clients and everything.
Yeah.
So, super important. I think I didn't do that enough as a younger adult, and I do it now, and I feel the difference.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, when your kids are young, you got to carve out that time. And I agree with you. I just tried X golf for the first time a few weeks ago, and it was
Mhm.
okay. I mean, it was good. It's winter, right? We got 2 feet of snow out here in New
Yeah,
England, so
dude. Yeah, I don't have
but
that problem in Southern California.
no, no. I mean, if anything, you have the problem where you look outside and you're always tempted to be like, work is overrated. I'm taking off. I'm gonna go get in 9 holes. But listen, Brian, I really really appreciate this opportunity to reconnect with you, and congrats on all your success. I love the work that you're doing with the film festivals and with, young creators and kind of holding their hand. I think we need more of that in the industry. So props to you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and if you want to check out Mometu, go to mometu.com, find out where you can download us. But really, any smart TV, CTV device, take it on your phone, take it mobily, Mometu, and go download it. And we're just about to kick off this initial idea called the Mometu Short Film Showdown. So
Oh,
next week, you'll see it
you
in the
heard it here
press.
first, everybody.
You'll see it in the
OTT Executive
wire.
Podcast.
Bah, 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 exclusive. Yeah, so go check out the showdown though. It's going to be it's a 9 month long competition for short filmmakers, gives them an extension of their festival life, and we're going to be giving away 100% of the revenue that we make from the showdown back to these filmmakers. So that win the prizes at the end. So really exciting, but go support it. Next month we're going to have like 20 dramas kicking off. So
Wow. That's
yeah.
awesome. Well, keep doing what you're doing. Really appreciate the time. Signing off once again, Brian Mahoney, OTT Executive Podcast. Brian, it's been a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure, Brian. The Brian and Brian show is a great show.
There it is. We'll have to do it again sometime soon.
Sounds good, brother.
All right. Signing off, everybody. Have a great day.